5 things that you need to know about international humanitarian law. Hello guys, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to you. So, have you ever heard the word humanitarian? Or do you ever enroll in any courses in school and universities and you happen to find the word humanitarian on it? But after learning it, you see that you learn about war, hunger, famine, and spread of diseases? Or do you interested in learning international humanitarian law but you do not know how to start? Well, today is your lucky day, as in this video I will tell you I will explain to you and talk to you about 5 things that you need to know about international humanitarian law. Number 1, the Geneva Conventions. The Geneva Convention is one of the most important international documents that govern humanitarian conflict all around the world. Generally, it is a series of documents that was developed based on a number of documents that denotes the human treatment in time of war. Geneva Convention consists of 4 treaties and 3 additional protocols that establish the protection of civilians and the wounded and sick in armed conflict. The creation of Geneva Convention started in 1851 in the Battle of Solferino, where Henry Dunant, a Swiss businessman, visited wounded soldiers and shocked by the lack of facilities, personnel, and medical aid. In honor of those experiences, he published his book titled A Memory of Solferino, Honoring the Wars. He then proposed the following: a permanent relief agency for humanitarian aid in times of war, a government treaty recognizing the neutrality of the agency and allowing it to provide aid in a war zone. Subsequently, this event led to the establishment of the Red Cross in Geneva and the creation of 1864 Geneva Convention, one of the first codified international treaty that covered the sick and wounded in the battlefield, and this also the foundation of the Geneva Convention. Number 2, International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice, or ICJ, or also known as the World Court, is one of the principal organs of the United Nations. Its function is to settle disputes between states in accordance with international law and gives advisory opinions on international legal issues. So in a way, ICJ acts as one of the most important instruments in implementing the international humanitarian law. The court's case law as a whole has certainly helped to strengthen and clarify the normative basis of international humanitarian law by highlighting its relationships with general international law and by setting out the basic principles governing the conduct of hostilities and the protection of victims of war. Number 3, ICRC. ICRC, or in its full name, the International Committee of the Red Cross, is one of the most important humanitarian institutions in IHL. Based in Geneva, its function is to carry out one of the most important aspects of IHL, to protect humanity in time of war. ICRC operates in 80 countries and has almost 11,000 employees around the globe, ensuring the assistance to victims of war and the needy. Its core principles are to monitor compliance of warring parties with the Geneva Conventions, to organize nursing and care for those who are wounded on the battlefield, to supervise the treatment of prisoners of war, and make confidential interventions with detaining authorities, to help with search for missing persons in an armed conflicts, or we call it tracing service, to organize protection and care for civil populations, to act as a neutral intermediary between warring parties. Number 4. Armed conflicts. Armed conflict refers to any situation where IHL may be applied. In reality, it is quite hard to apply the international humanitarian law principle as it involves complicated technicalities. For example, what can we define as war? It is a conflict between two states only. How? When there are rebels emerging in the country fighting the state government, thus it does not considered as war, making IHL inapplicable. How about a fighting between two armed groups in states? Thus, the term armed conflict were coined in order to provide better definition for the application of IHL. Thus, under the Geneva Convention, armed conflict can be divided into two: international armed conflicts that involve opposing two or more states, and non-international armed conflicts involving between governmental forces and non-governmental armed groups or between such groups only. Number 5. The proxy war. So what is proxy war? Why it deserves a place in this list? This is because many humanitarian conflicts nowadays involve this complicated conflict that was called proxy wars. From the Syrian civil war to Yemen's civil war, proxy wars has become the trend that happened in the humanitarian conflict, where IHL becomes a little bit fuzzy in this area. Proxy war can be loosely explained where a conflict occurs between two or more groups in a country, where several foreign entities back each groups in form of finance or arsenal of weapon. IHL become hard to implement here as there is a question whether this type of conflict is an international armed conflict or non-international armed conflict, as some of the assistance was done in secrecy. It is involving big powers such as the veto powers. The proxy war prolonged the war, where humanitarian conflict becomes severe over the years, and many other questions about humanitarian crisis. But it is good for new beginners in IHL to know about proxy wars, as it is one of the most common type of conflict that occur in our time. With that, we arrive to the end of this video. I hope this video will help you in start learning IHL. This is just a general video and there are much more to learn out there, so don't give up in learning IHL for the betterment of humanity. With that, thank you for watching this video.